Hey guys, so today I'm going to be running through my sculpting tools. I kind of want to use this as a video to kind of give advice on creating your own first kit, but do bear in mind my sculpting tools might seem a bit odd because I use these to do just about everything from mask making, prosthetics, polymer clay, creature design, pottery, full-size scale busts and even miniatures. So the backbone of my sculpting tools are normally these. These are actually dental tools. They come from multiple kits, these ones do. You'll find different types of dental tool kits on the internet, and these came from various places. Like, I believe this one came from the Nielsen one, and I use this pretty much all the time. This is one of my favourite tools. Another one is this one. I believe this one came from their Hammerhead Sculpture dental tool kit. This one, I'll be honest, I'm not sure. This one I definitely know. This one is from, I don't know if you can read that there, but that is from Citadel. That is a brand of games workshops. They're very expensive. I think it's like 2 tools for like £15 or something like that. And yeah, it's pretty steep, but it's ended up becoming one of my favourite tools, even though I have modified it just slightly to make it a little bit finer. And then there's this one. I don't use this one as often, but I do use it, so that's why I've always kept it. So the next set of tools I'd recommend are these embossing tools. I use these on basically every single sculpture I've done in the past, I don't know, 5 years or so. I think almost every tutorial I've even got on my YouTube, I've used these, and if there's any which you haven't seen these in, I've most likely actually used them in them at some point. I'll usually use either 1 or 2, or, well, to be fair, I could find myself using all of them. These are super useful, and I do recommend you're picking up some, and also they're very cheap, which is a bonus. So the next lot of tools are these loop tools. You can't really have too many of these. I actually only have these mainly because I have lost a lot of my others in the past. But these are great for all sorts of sculpting of various kind, and pottery as well if you're into that kind of thing. But for polymer clay, I tend to use these more for smoothing stuff out, especially with like curves. This one here, actually, I put a piece of sterling silver on the end, just because I know that I can get like a super smooth finish from it. I would normally use this on stuff like armour, where I know I'd want like a really flat kind of finish. But yeah, these you can't really get too many of these. I do recommend picking them up where you can. So I thought I'd just run through these miscellaneous pieces, as none of these are super important, but well, to me they are. They're stuff which I use quite often. I've got this cheese wire. This is for when I'm working with water clay. It's just for literally cutting away clay and ready to be used. This piece here, if I'm rolling out slabs of clay, I can kind of cut it to shape or cut strips off if I was to work on stuff like armour or ready for your first proportions of the face. This one I purely use for pottery only. I might do a video one day where I explain a bit more about it. But then I've got these are the steel kidneys. This one here, this is really great for blocking out forms. It's not too bad in polymer clay. You can use that for texture. I have done before in the past, but again, these are normally for big pieces. You see, you would literally just block out the form and then you'd smooth it out with this. You see, also use that in pottery. This one, I used to use this all the time, but I don't know, recently I've just stopped using it. I don't think I've used it for about 2 years now. But I know once upon a time I used it a lot, so I kind of don't want to get rid of it because of that. This one's great for the sharp end, for detailing and stuff like that when you're going into really fine stuff. This piece I again use in pottery more so to cut the tops off. Silicone brush, smoothing, pretty self-explanatory. And this piece is actually just for proportions and checking my measurements. I do have another one which is like that kind of thing, but I've misplaced it. which doesn't normally bother me because I'll just bend some wire around and use that otherwise. But yeah, that's the miscellaneous pieces. So these tools here are, well, not total essentials. I don't really use these that often. This one I do use a lot when I'm doing large scale. If I'm doing anything large scale, I use this quite often. Probably the most used of these is this one, but that's mainly because of this end here. I like to use it to smooth clay out and move clay about. It's really, really good for that kind of thing, you see, especially when you're doing like your first forms. But yeah, that's all I do with those ones. And also I forgot with the miscellaneous stuff I just showed you, there's also my roller, which I'm sure needs no explanation. I only use this really for polymer clay. But useful though, it's nice to have in the toolkit. There's moments where it's needed. But yeah, that's that. And now for the tool everybody always asks me about, which is this one. It's actually a modified pen, which I've ended up getting an old sewing needle, which I hammered flat and then filed into the shape. Obviously, from what you've seen in the tutorials, this is for the fine, the fine detail kind of thing. I'm going to be making another one of these soon. And what I'll do is I'll make a video of me making one so you can see actually how I do it. This end here, this is just a guitar string. This is really great for like, if you just want to blend sections like really quickly. It's really, really good for that. And then you can just basically go over with, say, a tool like this. And then, you can just flatten it straight out. But yeah, this tool I do use quite a lot. I've had to make about 3 or 4 of these in the past because they do break easy, mainly because of these ends. However, I'm more than happy to keep on making these. I think this one's lasted the longest. I've had this one for about 2 years now. I don't really know how it survived that long because I do use it. Again, almost every sculpture I've done in that time, I've used this tool. It's really cool, and I will be making another one, so I'll make a video on how I make it, but I'll make it a lot neater and nicer than this. You see, I never really expected my YouTube to do as well as it has recently, so I'll make a lot nicer and neater version of this. I might make a couple of them of various sizes, actually, and uses, so that's a video for the future, really. The last part of my toolkit is actually these, and also these, which may seem a little bit odd, but sometimes I'll actually use these as they are, but otherwise what I'll do is I'll actually carve these up with a knife to make these kind of tools, like something I can actually use if I find myself that there's a tool I don't have and I really need it at the moment. I'll just literally pull this out, carve one of these up and make a tool for the job, which is also really great when you're starting out. So for me personally, I was homeless when I started sculpting, so all I had at the time was a pocket knife. These I could find on the streets and stuff like that. And I remember I started off sculpting with kids plasticine, which I ended up getting from like the pound shop. But yeah, when starting with tools, it's cool to try this kind of thing, because then in the future that, oh, you've got a sharp edge here, so you need to buy a tool like this that has a point like that. Or alternatively, you'll get something like this, and then you'll realise that, yeah, okay, a tool like this would be useful. It is a great way of actually learning what kind of tools you personally need, because every single toolkit you will ever see, as far as sculpting tools are concerned, will be different. And that's kind of the reason why I don't normally list my tools in videos, because I know that although the techniques may not be much different, the tools you choose to use for them may be. So I don't like to kind of limit it in that kind of way. But I do recommend you try this out. Maybe it's not your thing. Maybe you're not into the idea of carving up lollipop sticks. You see, I ended up doing it because, well, I didn't really have much of a choice. But yeah, getting yourself a decent knife for your sculpting is great as well. Like, I'll use this for polymer clay. It's great because this one's got a magnet on the bottom, so I can just take that out, put it in and use it to then put it back as well, which is super useful. But yeah, I recommend you getting a knife like this. Unless you're obviously under 18, then don't do it, because, you know, parental stuff. But yeah, again, that's basically my whole toolkit, especially when you start putting in all this stuff as well. I hope it's been useful in some sort of way, or interesting or something. But yeah, again, thank you everyone for, you know, the support recently. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. It really, really helps me out. I'll be doing another one of these videos, possibly later on in the year, stroke early next year, because my sculpting kit does change quite often. So yeah, thank you so much, and I hope the video was what you were wanting. Anyway, I'll see you guys soon as.